My name is MEIR GUTSCHMIDT. I was born in Warsaw in March 1917. We lived there. My father Moshe, my mother Miriam, my older brother Israel, and my 3 younger sisters. At the age of 4, I started to study in a Haida. At the age of 7, it was half a day in Haida. And in the afternoon, primary school. My father wanted me to wear Hasidic clothes, and the Poles, they harassed me.
MEIR, dear, it's too dangerous. Take off the Hasidic clothes. Dress like everyone else.
By the time I was 10, I was wearing regular clothes. I liked school much more than the Haida. There, no one beat me. At 14, I finished school. I worked for a blacksmith, almost for free, and in the afternoons, I helped my parents in their hardware store. At 17, I began working for a Jewish blacksmith. I learned the skills of blacksmith under his instruction for 3 years. I read newspapers. I knew what the Nazis were doing to the Jews in Germany, and the Poles, they were no less anti-Semitic.
On September 1st, 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Warsaw was bombed, soldiers, civilians, all under siege. On September 28th, the city surrendered.
The Polish chief of staff called out on the radio.
Anyone who knows how to handle a weapon, join the army.
I ran home. My mother, my sisters, they were all there. I asked her, "Mama, what should we do?"
Son, take a bag with some clothes, money, and passport, and escape the Germans. Head toward the Russians.
But what about you and the others?
Don't worry about us, my son. We'll be okay. Now go. Just run.
I walked day and night, 850 kilometers on foot. I reached the town of Kobrin. Within 2 days, the Germans arrived. I fled again, 60 kilometers to Baranovichi.
Baranovichi was then under Soviet control. MEIR found temporary refuge, but the longing for home burned in him.
I tried to return to Warsaw. At the border, I met refugees who told me, "You won't survive the journey." I went back to Bialystok. From there, they sent me to work in a paper factory until 1941. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union, I ran. A train station, a crowded train. I jumped through an open window. I fell asleep under a bench. When I woke up, the other passengers told me the station was heavily bombed while I was sleeping. But I survived. I reached the Tatars. I worked for one of them for a week. I was afraid. At night, I got up and ran away again. Eventually, I arrived in Tashkent.
The Soviets moved industry eastward, to Tashkent and Central Asia. Jewish refugees poured in as well.
They sent us on a ship. I got typhus. For 2 weeks, I didn't eat. I arrived at the city of Charju, lay in a hospital, and recovered. There, I met a mysterious Tatar man.
My son, what are you thinking about?
If I tell you, will you help me?
Tell me first, then we will see. Would you like something to eat?
In distressed times like these, one doesn't refuse food.
Come work for me. Don't worry about papers. I'll take care of you.
I worked with him, learned to be a real blacksmith. In 1943, they sent me on an oil ship, together with 5,000 Uzbeks to the city of Kuybyshev in Uzbekistan. I handed out lice repellent in exchange for pita bread. I helped other Jews too.
The journey was long, cold, and hungry. When the ship got stuck in the ice, theft was the only way to survive.
Eventually, they wanted to kill us. Only the intervention of a communist officer saved us. We arrived at the port city. There I worked as a blacksmith.
One day, a letter from the NKVD. You must leave the city within 24 hours.
They sent me to a labor battalion. 260 men, former criminals. Life there were harsh and cruel. I escaped. I worked at a kolkhoz for 3 months, gathered my strength. I approached the city officer.
Where are you from, soldier?
From Warsaw. I want to enlist in the Red Army. Please don't send me back to the camp.
You want to enlist in the Red Army?
Yes, I want to fight the Nazis.
But you're not a Soviet citizen, you're Polish.
I've already been through hell to stay alive. I know how to work, I know how to fight, I'm strong. I want to join the army.
All right. I'll write a letter that might allow you to volunteer. If you're approved, you can join.
During the war, the Red Army recruited volunteers from foreign countries, especially Polish refugees who remained in Soviet territories. Many were assigned to military labor units, and some joined in combat.
2 weeks later, I got a summons. I showed up, passed a medical exam, and was drafted into a combat infantry unit.
MEIR, like many Jews who fled east, became a soldier in the Red Army. He bore arms and fought against the Germans alongside his unit.
I spent the next years in combat. We were always on the move. We were on the front lines. There were bombings, cold, hunger, and death everywhere. I grew close with other Jews in the unit. At night, we'd talk about home, our families, not knowing if we'd ever see them again.
In 1944, the Soviet Union began pushing Germany westward. The liberation of Poland began.
When they announced that Warsaw was liberated, my heart froze. I didn't know if anyone in my family was still alive. I wanted to go back, but I was still enlisted.
In May 1945, after Germany's surrender, the war ended. Hundreds of thousands of Jewish refugees remained scattered across the Soviet Union, many with no ties left to their past.
When I heard the war was over, I didn't know who was alive and who wasn't. I requested to be discharged and return to the closest city. I began to inquire, to search, to send letters. I had no family, no home.
MEIR, like thousands of others, set out on a new journey. A journey of searching, rebuilding, and beginning again. The war was over, but the path to rebirth was still long.
After the war, Shoshana and I got married in Poland. We were broken, but life went on. We decided to leave everything behind and set out on a journey of hope to the land of Israel. We left Poland. Shoshana went straight to the displaced persons camp in Leifheim near Ginsburg in Germany. I went to Berlin first. I had to take care of a few things there. A week later, we were reunited in the camp. In Leifheim, we began to live. Our daughter Hannah was born there on January 1947, our first child. We named her after Shoshana's mother, who was murdered in the Holocaust. Hannah was a ray of light in the midst of devastation. And then came the opportunity to go to Israel, the Exodus. My heart burst with excitement, but this wasn't an ordinary journey. The ship was packed, more than 4,000 people, crowded 5 people to a bunk, babies, pregnant women, survivors of the camps, all of us, sharing the same hope. When the British destroyers rammed into us, everything turned upside down. Smoke, grenades, screams. Shoshana clutched Hannah as if the world was ending, and it truly felt that way. She saw again, in her mind's eye, the mothers from the death camps, the ones who saw their children torn away from them. She swore, not this time, not this child. In the end, after all of it, after the battle for the Exodus, after the deportation, after the humiliation, after the hope trampled before our eyes, they sent us back to Germany. Germany, the land that buried my family, my childhood, my people. We were sent again to the displaced camps. We, Holocaust survivors who had lived through hell, were returned like unwanted cargo. We arrived at the Poppendorf camp near Lübeck. After weeks at sea, hungry, exhausted, with a small child in our arms, we were once again refugees. But despite it all, we did not break. There was a strong voice inside me saying, "You will reach the land of Israel." So we waited. One more winter, one more form, one more permit, more wandering. Again, a wagon, a train, a truck. But this time, we knew. It was the road to redemption. And in the end, we made it. Not with a grand welcome, but we made it. We arrived in the land of Israel, the country not yet born, but alive in our hearts. I remember stepping onto the sacred soil, the sand burning beneath our feet, tears in our eyes. Shoshana held Hannah in her arms, and I whispered, "We've arrived. We've come home."
את השיר הזה אני שרה לזכרו של סבא מאיר.